News of the day, and Friday night starts now, and religious leaders drawn from the National Council of Churches of Kenya, the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, and the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims are calling for a repeal of the Finance Act 2023 and a stop to protests by the opposition, which they say have led the country on a path of destruction. The clergy is challenging President William Ruto and Azimio Umoja leader Raila Odinga to reconsider their hard stance and embrace dialogue as part of efforts to peacefully find a lasting solution to the issues bedeviling the country. The leaders also announced plans to convene a national dialogue, even as they urged Kenyans to resist incitement and being provoked to violence.
The return of the anti-government protests continue to draw mixed reactions across the country. While some consider the demonstrations as an expression of citizens' discontent and frustration with the high cost of living and punitive taxes, others are particularly concerned about the aftermath. The huge losses running into billions incurred by businesses that closed, the destruction of property and loss of lives. Enough is the message from religious leaders who today called President William Ruto and Azimio Umoja leader Raila Odinga to reason and find a way to put a stop to the heightening tension in the country. Among the key issues that the leaders drawn from the National Council of Churches of Kenya, the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, and the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims want urgently addressed is the repealing of the Finance Act of 2023.
We once again appeal that your administration repeals the Finance Bill 2023 so as to review the heavy taxation burden it imposes on Kenyans.
The leaders also want Azimio Umoja leader Raila Odinga to immediately abort his signature collection drive and protests, terming the action by the opposition a recipe for disaster.
The tension, violence, and the shedding of blood is making the situation worse for the people of Kenya, rather than solving the problems they are struggling with.
The clergy have challenged President Ruto and Raila Odinga to reconsider their hard stance and embrace dialogue as part of efforts to restore peace and reconciliation.
Your Excellency, the President Ruto and Honorable Odinga, we appeal to you both to stop cutting Kenya into two. Do not lead this country on a path of suicide. We urge you to lead your coalitions in engaging in bipartisan talks that are genuinely intended to finding a solution.
Let us all resist the incitement and provocation to engage in violence and destruction, which will destroy who we are and that our nation stands for.
The calls for peaceful dialogue were echoed by the United Nations Human Rights Office, which has also voiced its concerns over the widespread violence. In a statement, spokesperson Jeremy Lawrence mentioned allegations of what he described as disproportionate use of force by the police, as well as reports indicating that up to 23 people have been killed and dozens injured. The UN is calling for prompt, thorough and independent investigations into the deaths and injuries and those responsible held to account. The office further says that in light of calls for further protests next week, they are calling on authorities to ensure the right to peaceful assembly as guaranteed by the Kenyan Constitution and international human rights law. Safin Acheng Oma, Citizen TV.